The debate over embryonic stem cell research has been going on for quite some time now. In 2009, President Obama lifted a ban that President George W. Bush put in place restricting government funding of embryonic stem cell research. Since 2009, when Obama lifted the ban, embryonic stem cell research has made great strides. 2 women have been cured from blindness due to embryonic stem cell treatment. But the problem is, any future administration has the power to ban government funding of embryonic stem cell research again. We need to make sure that these future administrations do not have the power to ban government funding of embryonic stem cell research. And that sounds crazy, but we just need to put somewhere in writing that embryonic stem cell research will always be funded by the government. And some say, well, the government doesn't have money to fund what they're funding right now. But the government spends $174 billion a year on diabetes, and it's estimated to cost the government $800 billion on heart disease by 2013. If the money was spent towards embryonic stem cell research, those 2 diseases plus many more could be cured. Embryonic stem cells have the power to cure diabetes, heart disease, spinal cord injuries, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and many other life-threatening diseases. Now, think about your families. Do you guys know anybody that has one of these awful diseases? If so, I'm sure you've watched them suffer as long as you want to watch it. And it's not fair that we know embryonic stem cell research could cure the diseases that they have and eliminate their pain, but people are so caught up and uneducated on what embryonic stem cell research is and where the embryos come from that we may never get that chance if we allow a future administration to restrict government funding. Some say that we should give the extra embryos to infertile couples, but since 1998, only approximately 150 babies have been born by using this method, so that's not really a feasible solution. We could give some of the embryos to infertile couples, but the rest of them should go to embryonic stem cell research instead of being thrown away. Couples can pay to have their embryos froze and stored for many years, but it's very expensive. So a lot of couples quit paying the bill, and once they quit paying the bill to have the embryos stored, the embryos are just thrown away. So it's much better to use the embryos to cure any of those diseases that I mentioned before than it is to let them be thrown away. I think the ethical thing is it's wrong to throw the embryos away. I don't see how anything is wrong with using embryos to cure millions and millions and millions of diseases and people. In foreign countries, they're way ahead of us when it comes to embryonic stem cell research. For example, I know a doctor who his son had Down syndrome, and his son went to, I can't remember what the country was, but he went to a different country. He had some embryonic stem cell therapies done, and it's guaranteed in the next 6 years the child will no longer have Down syndrome. Can you imagine a world where no one has to suffer from any of these awful diseases? But it's up to us. From now on, we need to make sure that the people we're voting for are for embryonic stem cell research. And I know it's hard to imagine and hard to think that embryonic stem cell research could be right, but it really is. And I urge you guys to get online and look it up and find out where these embryos come from and just see that it's not killing an innocent baby. People aren't getting paid money to create embryos and then give them to science. That's not what's happening. People aren't getting pregnant and having abortions to cure diseases. That's not what's happening. There are hundreds of thousands of embryos in storage facilities. We can't get an exact number because the companies aren't allowed to release that information. But the number is only going to continue to rise because people are continuing to use in vitro fertilization clinics to get pregnant. Like I said, we need to make sure that the government funds embryonic stem cell research so we can get the embryos from these clinics that were otherwise going to be thrown away and put them to good use. It's really important that the government funds it because you can't get people to fund something when they're not going to see results quickly. And I mean, it could take years before all of these diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, are cured. Since they've already cured the 2 women that were blind, it probably won't take that long. But I mean, if you had $10 billion, you're not going to invest it in something that's not going to show you a quick turnaround time. Therefore, we need the government to invest their money and find cures for the awful diseases. Just imagine if they didn't have to pay for all the people on disability that are on disability because of diabetes or because of heart disease or because of Alzheimer's or because of Parkinson's or any disease that makes an individual unable to work. If the government did not have to spend money on that, I don't think that we would have as big of a deficit as we have. So like I said, my solution is make sure that a law is put into place right now that says no other future administration can stop government funding of embryonic stem cell research. And we need to make sure that the next presidents and the next government officials we elect are in favor of embryonic stem cell research. It's too good of a thing to let go unnoticed. And the United States leads the world in many, many things. But if we quit government funding of embryonic stem cell research, we're going to be behind everyone in medicine. Everyone in the world is going to have cures to awful, awful diseases. And we're still going to be watching our loved ones die daily because they have a disease that could be cured if embryonic stem cell research continues to be funded.